The sky over New York turned dark at noon. People looked up, confused. No clouds, no thunder, just a shadow, huge and silent, blocking the sun. A strange shape slowly appeared in the sky. It wasn't an airplane. It wasn't a drone. It was much bigger, much stranger, and it wasn't alone. Soon, similar shapes appeared over London, Tokyo, Cape Town, Delhi, and dozens of other cities. The world stopped. Cars crashed into each other. Trains halted. News alerts screamed. Unknown objects in the sky, possibly alien ships. People expected noise, lasers, explosions, but nothing happened. The ships just hovered silently like dark giants watching the planet below. Then a voice echoed in every human language, not from speakers but inside people's heads. "We are the Zorks. We have come to test your kind. Prepare for trials. Refusal means destruction." Panic followed. World leaders tried to respond, but the Zorks didn't reply. Military jets approached the ships but were blocked by invisible shields. Humans were powerless. Within hours, 10 teams of humans, chosen at random, were taken. No one saw it happen. 1 second they were there, and the next gone. Among them was Captain Raina Cole, a survival expert. She had served in war zones, deserts, and frozen wastelands. She now stood inside a strange metal room with others, soldiers, scientists, even a teenage student. No one knew where they were. Then a wall opened, revealing a tall alien figure. Gray skin, yellow eyes, long limbs, wearing no armor, no weapons, just calm confidence. He looked at the humans like a farmer looks at livestock. "You sweat," he said in perfect English. "You leak water when afraid, when hot, when weak." He turned to his team, 4 tall aliens dressed in tight, glowing suits. "We do not sweat. We do not fear. We are Zorks." Captain Cole stepped forward. "What do you want from us?" The alien smiled. "To watch you fall." Without warning, the floor dropped. The humans screamed as they slid down metal tunnels. One by one, they landed in the middle of a dense jungle. The sky above was green. The air was thick and hot, so hot it was hard to breathe. Giant trees covered the sky, and unknown animal sounds came from every direction. A loud voice echoed again. "Trial 1, survival in heat. Begin now." From high towers above the jungle, the Zorks watched. Their elite warriors entered from the other side. Tall, silent, perfect. Their skin was dry. Their faces calm. They moved like machines. The humans began sweating within minutes. The heat was cruel. One scientist vomited. The teenage boy fell, his legs shaking. But Captain Cole stayed calm. "Stay close," she told them. "Move slowly. Breathe steady. We can do this." Miles away, the Zork's commander watched with a smirk. "They are already wet. Their bodies are betraying them." Another alien nodded. "They are not built for war." Back in the jungle, something strange happened. A Zork soldier paused. He touched his neck. His skin was turning red. The jungle was hotter than expected, even for them. The soldier kept moving, but slower. Another one began to pant, his glowing suit locked in heat. No sweat, no cooling. Meanwhile, the humans, wet, tired, struggling, were still moving. Captain Cole wiped her face. "This is just like training in Arizona," she muttered. "Only with aliens watching." By hour 4, 2 Zorks had collapsed. The commander blinked in surprise. Impossible. Their heart rates rising. Organs failing. Another alien checked the screen. "They cannot cool their bodies. The heat is too much." A human soldier sat under a tree, drinking water. His face was red, but he was smiling. "Guess sweating ain't so useless after all." Captain Cole looked at the skies. She didn't know what the Zorks planned next, but she now knew one thing. The human body, messy, imperfect, emotional, was made to survive. And survival was the only thing that mattered. The jungle was alive with sounds, but for the humans, it was silent except for their labored breaths. The sun beat down on them with unrelenting force. The air felt thick, like breathing underwater. Every step was a struggle. Sweat poured from their bodies, soaking their clothes, their skin burning in the hot wind. But despite the heat, they kept moving. Captain Cole kept her eyes forward, scanning the horizon. She couldn't let anyone break. She knew if one person fell apart, the others would follow. They had to stay strong. "Stay together," she said, voice steady despite the fatigue. "We make it through this jungle together, or we don't make it out at all." The soldiers nodded, though many of them could barely keep their feet moving. Their suits were already soaked through, their faces pale from exhaustion. But they weren't the only ones feeling the heat. The Zork soldiers were starting to slow down too. The Zorks were powerful, stronger, faster, and taller than humans. But the heat, the unbearable heat, was not something they were prepared for. One Zork soldier stumbled. His glowing suit flickered. His eyes widened, panic showing for the first time. "Commander," he shouted in his alien tongue, "my suit, it's overheating. I cannot control my body temperature." The Zork's commander's cold yellow eyes scanned the humans from high above, watching them with an almost bored expression. "Ignore them," he said. "The humans will break first. They are weak." But even as he spoke, another Zork soldier collapsed. His breathing was ragged. His once sturdy frame crumpled to the ground. His suit gave off a sizzling sound, as if it were boiling from the inside. The humans, though, were still going. They stumbled, yes, but they kept pushing forward. Lieutenant Mendez, one of the soldiers, wiped the sweat from his brow, his arms shaking. He couldn't stop sweating. No matter how hard he tried, his body kept working. And in this brutal heat, it felt like it was the only thing keeping him alive. "Captain," Mendez said, voice strained, "how are we still moving?" Captain Cole glanced at him. "Our bodies are designed to handle this," she said, though her own voice trembled with exhaustion. "We sweat to cool down. That's how we survive." The Zork soldiers didn't understand that. They weren't built for the heat. They couldn't cool their bodies, and as they started to fall, one by one, the humans began to see their advantage. Another Zork soldier collapsed, unable to stand, his glowing suit sparking. The remaining Zork soldiers stood frozen, their alien faces twisted in confusion. "They don't understand," Captain Cole whispered to herself. "They thought they were better than us. They thought we were weak. But they're the ones who don't know their own limits." Just then, a loud crack echoed through the jungle. A massive tree fell to the ground with a thunderous roar. The humans scattered, diving to the sides as the giant trunk crashed into the earth. The Zork soldiers, who were now sweating and stumbling, quickly repositioned themselves. Their bodies were covered in perspiration, their once perfect movements now clumsy. They looked at each other, confusion and fear replacing their usual confidence. The Zork's commander barked orders. "Move, stay together. Don't let the humans see your weakness." But it was too late. One by one, the Zork soldiers collapsed, their bodies overheating. Their suits could no longer protect them. They gasped for breath, their skin turning red, their bodies writhing in pain as the heat consumed them from within. Meanwhile, the humans were still moving, still pushing forward. Their clothes were drenched in sweat, their faces flushed, but their bodies were built for this. The sweat was cooling them, keeping them alive. Mendez looked around, amazed. "How are we still standing?" He gasped, struggling to breathe through the thick, humid air. "We're built for this," Captain Cole said, her voice steady, even though she was exhausted. "Sweat is our strength. It's what makes us different." Another Zork soldier fell to the ground, his body limp. A few of the humans looked back. They had seen the aliens fall, one after another. It was impossible. The aliens had never faced anything like this before. Finally, the Zork's commander, who had watched with growing concern, gave an order to retreat. "Enough," he shouted. "We were wrong to underestimate them. Their bodies are designed to survive. They have endurance." His words echoed through the jungle, but the humans didn't hear them. They didn't need to. Captain Cole took a deep breath, wiping her brow. They had won the first trial, but the battle was far from over. They had proven that humans could survive the heat. But what would the Zorks throw at them next? The voice echoed again from the skies, cold and unfeeling. Trial 2 will begin soon. The humans, though tired and battered, stood tall. They had passed the first trial. But now, they knew one thing. The Zorks were not done, and neither were they. The jungle felt like an oven, and the heat wasn't letting up. The humans huddled together in the shade of a large tree, trying to cool down. But it wasn't enough. Their bodies were still drenched in sweat, their clothes sticking to their skin. Their muscles ached. Their minds were foggy from the heat. But despite it all, they were still alive. Captain Cole wiped her forehead, her skin slick with sweat. She glanced around at the fallen Zork soldiers. More than half had already collapsed. Their once perfect uniforms were now filthy and stained, their glowing suits flickering in and out as if they were malfunctioning. "They're not built for this," Lieutenant Mendez said, staring at the fallen aliens. "Look at them. They're overheating." Captain Cole nodded, her face grim. "They've never had to deal with heat like this. They don't sweat. They can't cool themselves down." The Zork soldiers who had fallen didn't move. They were still, their faces pale, their eyes wide in pain. They couldn't handle the temperature. The jungle was killing them. Meanwhile, the humans were still breathing, still moving. Sweat poured from their bodies, but that was the key. The sweat was cooling them down. It was their secret weapon, the thing the Zorks had never understood. As the humans rested, an alien ship appeared in the sky above them. It was large and intimidating, but this time it didn't land. Instead, it sent a message. "Your bodies cannot survive this heat forever. You will break. This is only the beginning." The voice was cold, emotionless, but Captain Cole wasn't worried. She knew their bodies were made for this. They had something the Zorks didn't: sweat. Back on Earth, scientists were watching the trial through video feeds, analyzing every move the humans made. Dr. Laura Kim, a leading human biologist, studied the data with growing excitement. "They're doing it," she said, her voice filled with awe. "They're surviving because of sweat. It's cooling them down. It's keeping them alive." Another scientist, Dr. Ethan Liu, looked at her in confusion. "But how can sweat save them? Isn't it just water coming from their bodies?" Dr. Kim smiled. "Sweat is more than just water. It's a natural cooling system. When we sweat, it evaporates from our skin, and that helps us stay cool. The Zorks, they don't have that. Their bodies can't cool down on their own. They're designed to be perfect machines, but they can't handle extreme heat. That's why they're falling apart." Back in the jungle, Captain Cole glanced up at the sky. The Zorks' commander's voice echoed again. "You cannot keep this up. Your bodies are weak. Your sweat is a sign of failure, not strength." Cole didn't respond. She didn't need to. She knew the truth. Sweat was their strength. The humans, despite the heat, continued to push forward. The jungle was thick with danger, but their bodies were built to handle it. The Zorks, however, were starting to panic. One by one, more of them fell. A Zork soldier, his face turning red and his body shaking, staggered toward the humans. His armor flickered. You can't do this," he gasped. Captain Cole stood tall, despite her own exhaustion. "We can, and we will." She didn't wait for him to fall. She turned and signaled the others to move. The jungle ahead was thick and filled with unknown dangers, but she knew one thing: they could survive. The Zork soldier collapsed before he could even take another step. His glowing armor sputtered, then went dark. He was gone. The humans moved forward, their bodies still working, still sweating. The heat didn't stop them. It made them stronger. And that was the secret the Zorks hadn't understood. The Zork's commander watched from above, his face twisted in disbelief. "Impossible," he muttered. "They should have fallen by now. Their bodies, they're still functioning." They're still moving. He turned to one of his officers. Why haven't they broken yet? Why are they still alive? The officer, who had been monitoring the humans' vital signs, looked at him with a mixture of fear and confusion. It's their sweat, sir. Their bodies are cooling down. The heat. It's not killing them. It's killing us. The Zork's commander's eyes narrowed. This is not possible. We are the superior species. We cannot be beaten by sweat. Meanwhile, Captain Cole and her team were still moving. They were tired. They were thirsty. But they were alive. The sweat on their bodies was keeping them cool, and that was all that mattered. They had survived the heat, and now they were ready for whatever the Zorks threw at them next. The jungle stretched endlessly, a green sea of thick trees and twisted vines. The air was still heavy with heat, though not as brutal as before. The Zork soldiers were scattered across the ground, many unable to move, their bodies limp from exhaustion. The remaining few watched from the trees, their glowing suits flickering in the dim light. Captain Cole led her team forward, their steps slow but steady. They had survived the heat, but the real challenge was just beginning. The Zorks were not going to give up. They would send more trials, more dangers, and they had to be ready. We keep moving, Cole said, her voice firm despite the fatigue. We can't stop now. If we do, they win. Mendez, one of the soldiers, nodded. He was out of breath, sweat dripping from his face. How long do we keep running like this? We're all exhausted. We keep running until we can't run anymore, Cole replied. We've survived their heat. Now we survive their hunters. A distant roar echoed through the jungle, followed by the crashing sound of trees being torn down. The humans stopped in their tracks, eyes wide. They knew what that sound meant. The Zorks were bringing out their beast units. They're releasing the beasts, Mendez muttered. Captain Cole clenched her fists. We move faster. We need to get to the river ahead. It's our only chance. They started running again, pushing through the thick undergrowth, but the sound of the beasts grew louder. They were close. The jungle trembled as the first of the Zorks' beast units appeared. Massive creatures taller than any human, covered in scales and muscle, charging through the trees. Their eyes were glowing red and their jaws dripped with saliva, sharp teeth gleaming in the dim light. Go, Cole shouted. Move, move. The humans sprinted, their legs burning with every step, their breath ragged in their chests. The beasts were faster than they were, but the humans had something the beasts didn't. They could endure. Their bodies could push past the pain, could keep going even when every muscle screamed for rest. Behind them, the beasts closed in, their growls getting louder, their claws ripping through the jungle like knives through paper. One of the humans, Private Taylor, stumbled. He fell to the ground, his legs too weak to carry him anymore. He looked up in panic as the closest beast snarled, its jaws snapping just inches from his face. Cole didn't hesitate. She turned and grabbed Taylor's arm, pulling him up with every ounce of strength she had left. Come on, you're not dying here. Taylor's face was pale, but he managed to get his legs under him, running again despite the pain. They pushed forward together. The river was ahead, just beyond a thick wall of trees, but the beasts were closing in. There was no way they would make it in time. They were too fast. Not yet, Cole muttered, glancing over her shoulder. The beasts were nearly on them now, their massive forms tearing through the jungle. She could hear their growls echoing in her ears. We can make it, Mendez called from ahead. Just a little further. Suddenly there was a loud crash. One of the beasts roared, its body slamming into a tree and knocking it down. The humans didn't stop, but now they could hear the beast struggling to free itself, trapped by the fallen tree. The delay gave the humans just enough time to reach the river. Here, Mendez shouted, pointing to the water. The river was wide, but the current was swift, and there was no time to waste. They had to cross it now. The humans dove into the river, the cold water shocking their overheated bodies. It was freezing compared to the jungle air, but they didn't stop. They swam across, the current pulling at their bodies, their muscles screaming with pain. The last of the humans made it to the opposite bank, gasping for breath. They looked back at the jungle, at the sounds of the beasts still roaring in the distance. The river had bought them a little time, but they weren't safe yet. Cole pulled herself to the shore, dripping wet and exhausted. She looked up at her team. "We survived, but we still have to keep going." Mendez, shivering from the cold, nodded. "What's next? What do the Zorks have planned for us now?" Captain Cole didn't answer right away. She only looked at the jungle on the other side of the river. The Zorks would not stop. They had already shown they could push the humans to their limits, and the humans had fought back every time. But the Zorks were learning, and the next trial could be worse than the last. Suddenly, the voice of the Zorks commander echoed across the river. "You have passed Trial 2, but you are not finished yet. Trial 3 will test your limits in ways you cannot imagine." Cole's heart skipped a beat. The Zorks were watching, waiting, ready to push them even harder. She turned to her team, her face determined. "We've made it this far. We're not stopping now. Let's see what they've got." The river was wide, and the current was fast, but the humans had made it across. They were wet, cold, and exhausted, but alive. For now. Captain Cole led them deeper into the jungle. Moving with careful steps, her mind focused on one thing: surviving whatever the Zorks would throw at them next. They had survived the heat. They had outrun the beasts. But they all knew the Zorks would make their final trial the most dangerous yet. The jungle was quiet now. Too quiet. The usual sounds of birds and insects were gone. The only sound was the rustling of leaves under their feet and the soft splash of water as they crossed small streams. Captain Cole turned to her team. "Stay alert. I have a feeling we're walking straight into their trap." Mendez, shivering from the cold river water, nodded. "It's too quiet. They're waiting for us." Suddenly, the ground shook beneath them, and a low, rumbling growl echoed through the jungle. The trees around them swayed as something massive approached. The humans froze, their eyes wide, looking around in panic. A huge shadow moved quickly through the trees. It was enormous, bigger than the beasts they had faced before. And faster. The ground trembled with every step it took. "There," Taylor shouted, pointing ahead. The trees broke apart, and the massive creature appeared, a Zork's war machine, built like a living tank. It was covered in armor, with large, sharp claws and a huge cannon mounted on its back. Its eyes glowed a fierce yellow, like the eyes of the Zork soldiers. "This is it," Cole muttered, her voice steady but filled with tension. "This is the final trial." The Zork's war machine let out a terrifying roar, shaking the jungle even more. The sound was deafening, and the air felt like it was charged with electricity. The Zork's commander's voice echoed from above. "You have passed the heat. You have outrun the beasts. But now you will face the final trial. You will face me." A wave of fear washed over the humans. They had already pushed their bodies to the limit. Could they survive this? The war machine began charging toward them, its giant claws tearing through the jungle, its cannon charging up with a hum that sent a chill down their spines. "We need to move," Cole shouted. "Scatter. Don't let it target us." The humans ran in different directions, zigzagging to avoid the machine's laser sight. The Zork's war machine fired a blast of energy, the ground exploding where the humans had been seconds before. Captain Cole ducked behind a large tree, her heart pounding. She looked up and saw the war machine charging at Private Taylor, who was too far away from cover. "Taylor," she screamed. Taylor turned just in time to see the machine's cannon power up. He ran, his legs pumping hard, but the machine was faster. A blast of energy shot out, knocking him off his feet and sending him flying into a tree. "No," Mendez cried out, his voice filled with terror. Captain Cole didn't hesitate. She darted out from behind the tree, rushing to Taylor's side, her legs burning with exhaustion. He was alive, but barely. His clothes were scorched, and he was unconscious, blood dripping from his head. She pulled him up, ignoring the pain in her own body, and began dragging him toward cover. "Get up, Taylor. Come on, stay with me." Mendez reached him, his face pale. He grabbed Taylor's other arm, helping Captain Cole pull him to safety. "We can't stop," Cole said, breathless. "We can't give up now." The war machine was close. The Zork's commander was watching, waiting for the humans to break. But they wouldn't. The machine raised its claws, ready to strike, when suddenly the ground beneath it shook again. The Zork's war machine stopped, confused. It looked around, its sensors scanning the area, but it didn't see what was coming. From the other side of the jungle, a low rumble began. The Zork's commander's eyes widened as he saw the trees shake, the ground crack. A second war machine appeared from the shadows, bigger and more terrifying than the first. It was designed to counter the humans' tactics, faster, stronger, and deadlier. The Zork's commander roared in anger. Impossible. 2 war machines. But it was too late. The second machine attacked, its cannon firing at the first one. The explosion rocked the jungle, sending both machines flying backward. The ground shook with the impact. Captain Cole's heart raced as she watched the 2 machines fight each other. The Zorks hadn't expected this. The war machines were tearing each other apart, their cannons firing, their claws clashing. Now was their chance. "Go," Cole shouted. "Now," while they're distracted. With the machines fighting each other, the humans ran for cover, making their way toward the edge of the jungle, where a large cliff overlooked a dark, turbulent river. "We've got to make it to the cliff," Cole ordered. "Hurry." The Zork's machines were distracted, their focus on each other. But the humans knew they didn't have much time. They pushed forward, adrenaline pushing them beyond their limits. When they reached the cliff's edge, Cole turned and faced her team. Taylor was still unconscious, but he was breathing. Mendez was holding his rifle, ready to defend them. The first war machine was beginning to recover. The second one was still damaged, but not for long. Cole looked at her team, her face hard with determination. "This is it," she said. "We've come this far. Now we finish this." She raised her hand and pointed at the sky. "Let's show them what we're made of." The cliff was high, and the river below was wild and loud. The humans stood at the edge, breathing hard. Their clothes were torn, their bodies bruised, but their eyes were sharp. They had survived every trial. Behind them, the 2 Zork's war machines were still fighting. The jungle burned. Trees crashed. The air was full of smoke and sparks. Captain Cole looked back. "This is it," she said. "They wanted to break us, but we're still standing." Suddenly, the sky darkened. A huge shadow moved across the clouds. The Zork's command ship had arrived. It hovered above the jungle like a monster. Its metal skin gleamed in the fading light. A deep, cold voice echoed from it. The voice of the Zork's commander. "You should not have made it this far. You are weak. You sweat. You bleed. You break." Captain Cole stepped forward and stared up at the ship. Her voice was loud and steady. "We do sweat. We do bleed. But that's what makes us strong. We don't break easily." The commander didn't answer right away. Then another voice spoke from the ship, a voice the humans didn't expect. It was a young Zork scientist. Her voice was unsure, but clear. "Commander, the data is clear. The humans are not weak. Their sweating saved them from heat. Their minds helped them escape the beasts. Their teamwork beat both machines." A silence fell. The Zork's commander growled. "They are still animals. They're kind." The scientist interrupted him. "Sir, even our best soldiers collapsed. The humans adapted. We must learn from them, not destroy them." Then something happened no one expected. The command ship powered down its weapons. The war machines stopped fighting. The jungle grew quiet again. Captain Cole blinked. "Is it over?" The Zork ship lowered a small platform to the ground. A single Zork's figure stepped out. It wasn't the commander. It was the young scientist. She walked forward slowly, her hands raised to show peace. "I am Varine," she said, her voice shaking. "I watched everything. I recorded your strength, your pain, your sweat. You taught us something today." Cole stepped forward too. "What's that?" "That survival is not about being perfect," Varine said. "It's about pushing forward, even when your body wants to stop, even when your mind is tired. You humans, you keep going." Mendez whispered, "Are they surrendering?" Varine heard him. "We are not here to fight anymore. Not today. You passed the final trial. And you gave us a message." "What message?" Cole asked. Varine looked up at the sky, then at the tired humans in front of her. "The message is this: humanity is not weak. Humanity is not to be mocked. Humanity is to be respected." Captain Cole stood tall, sweat still dripping from her face. She looked at her team, bruised, dirty, tired, but alive. "We'll send a message too," she said. Then she turned to the sky, toward the watching stars. "To all species who think we are weak because we sweat, because we struggle, remember this day. You laughed at our sweat, but your best soldiers dropped like flies. And we're still standing."